Hello everybody, back once again with the Renegade Master. This time, oh god, why did I say that? It's another Doctor Who figure review. This time it's the Satan Pit gift set, which came with a Tennant and the elevator, or lift if you're American, from the Satan Pit episode, which also had the Impossible Planet, which was, no, the Impossible Planet, then the Satan Pit. For some reason they decided to do the elevator. Weird choice. They could have done the Beast, but we got an elevator. Beast, elevator. Beast, elevator? Better make the elevator. I really don't understand why we got the elevator. This set, I honestly see as one of the most pointless sets. The elevator is a nice design. It looks pretty cool. But also, there's not really much you can do with it, apart from just have it sit there. I love the Tennant, but we'll get onto that in a second. Let's have a look at the elevator itself. Woo! Excitement to the max. Oh, that's horrible. What is this? Excitement to the max. Here we go. Right. It's a really competent sculpt. It's quite good. It looks like the elevator. However, it's got these rubber, as you can see, this sort of rubber ladder, I guess. But because of the age and because it's like a soft rubbery plastic, a couple of mine have broke off. These don't get played with. They just sit sort of quietly. This one sits quietly in a cupboard, actually. It's a glass cupboard, so you can see in. And somehow the rubber has managed to break. Other than that, that's the only gripe I have with it. Other than the fact it's incredibly boring because it's an elevator or a lift or whatever you want to call it. And there's not really much else you can do. I mean, all the side panels are the same, apart from two, as you just saw. The one with the ladder. And this one, which you can open up. And there's just blackness inside. Oh, well, sorry. And a little fake light in the back there. You can fit Tennant in there quite nicely. You know, he stands in there sort of incredibly well. I mean, you can shut the panel. And you can kind of still see Tennant in there. It's quite misty. I don't know if it's actually really picking up. You can you see him? You can kind of see him, can't you? I mean, I'm looking at my screen. You can just barely make him out. So if you want to display him like that on the shelf, you could do. Could have a game of Guess the Tennant. But I'd probably suggest having the initial door open, because you can kind of pose this this Tennant. Speaking of which, here he is. I really like this figure. The detailing on it's really cool. It really looks like the show. I like the fact that you can remove his helmet, which we'll get into in a second. There is a couple of problems though. The black paint, as you can see, sort of is starting to wear off. Is a little bit sort of gone from his bum there. That's not too much of a problem. That's not too much of a problem. That's basically because of you know, age of the figure. The fact he was probably played with before I got my hands on him. But yeah, articulation wise, arm goes up. We've got the joint, the twisty joint, twisty arm joint, I should say, mid arm joint, or upper arm joint. We've got the elbow, we've got twisty wrists, or twisty gloves, actually, including this side as well. Come at you, as you can see there. We've got a mid-waist swivel. Oh, that was stiff, because I don't really do that often. And we've got, you know, a leg bend. This time he can actually possibly sit down. And also, we can see one of the reasons why one of the only downsides with the actual figure itself. And that is, of course, this little connector here, which is meant to stay attached to his belt, will very easily pop off with minimum effort. But you can remove the helmet, which I like. Sculpt wise, it looks exactly like David Tennant. Well, not exactly like David Tennant. It looks quite like David Tennant. But I'm pretty certain, again, it's the same sculpt. A very similar sculpt to other figures. Not entirely sure if it's the same one, just slightly remolded. Paintworks, as per usual, is pretty good on the face, and of course you can give him a head swivel. Now, one of my favourite things that they released for the Satan Pit, even though they didn't release like the Beast himself, we did get possessed Toby Z. We got Toby Z normal. We got some Ood, but if you remember during the episode, Tennant drops himself or lowers himself down in a giant hole, and he cuts his rope and he lands on the floor, and his helmet smashes, and he gets all dirtied up. And they released a figure. Now, the figure is pretty much identical, except they've basically dirtied him up, so he looks like he's taking a bump. And my favourite feature, they gave him the smashed helmet, which I absolutely adore. I love that. I think it's excellent. If I have to, basically, when I display these figures, I generally have them separated, because I'll normally have Tennant with the lift, this Tennant, I should say. Clean Tennant with the lift, and the other one I'll have separate, but not too far away, but more prominently displayed, just because of the excellent work they've done on the helmet. It looks fantastic, and it looks brilliant. It's absolutely wonderful. It's one of those rare times where characters' strange choices for figures really paid off. It's quite unusual to see sort of a battle damage figure. In fact, yeah, I think there's only a couple sort of battle damage like figures in the Doctor Who range, and this is probably my favourite. If you don't have these figures, seek them out and purchase them, but don't spend too much money on the Satan Pit gift set, because it's again just a plastic elevator and it's not that great.